Thank you for joining us today. You might ask, what's a dignified great-grandfather doing wearing a hat like this? There's only one reason this would happen in Brattleboro, Vermont. It is the annual Strolling of the Heifers. And so to run down some of the activities over a several-day period in June, which, by the way, is Dairy Month, in case you hadn't guessed, and yes, you can doff your caps to that. The founder of the Strolling of the Heifers, Orly Munzing. And how does it keep getting better and better year after year?
Well, it takes a community to raise heifers. And we have an incredible community that does that. And if it wasn't for this amazing community, we wouldn't be able to do this.
I like the way you say that, because quite frankly, everybody in their own way gets involved, either by being a spectator, a volunteer, a participant, or just really applauding the people who produce our food every day.
Absolutely. I get the incredible pleasure of leading the parade and just coming out and seeing the crowds welcome the farmers and the heifers. It is the most amazing welcome one can experience.
So how did this idea just kind of come about, and what twists and turns has it taken over the years?
Well, it's taken so many twists and turns, and if the viewers do not know at this point, the Strolling of the Heifers has a new home, and it is the River Garden, and that's our theme this year. The heifers are coming to town. They are at the River Garden every day. We have many activities for the community. We have a bag lunch series. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we have music. On Tuesdays and Thursdays is lectures. Bring your bag lunch. Come and enjoy. It's free, and it's a wonderful, wonderful space to meet your community friends.
Wait a minute, you mentioned the heifers are coming to town. I remember back on year one, there was a gentleman who composed a song of that name.
Absolutely. Alan Greenleaf created a song, and that is our theme song. And this year, Sam Grove has built the most amazing float that's going to be at the beginning of the parade that showcases our wonderful river garden that's on Main Street. And Strolling of the Heifers really saved it in keeping it open to the public. So people are going to really enjoy it, and Alan Greenleaf's song, The Heifers Are Coming to Town, is going to be really introducing the whole heifer parade.
So is Alan going to be on hand himself singing?
Absolutely. He's going to be on Friday night in front of the River Garden, the home of the Strolling of the Heifers, as well as in the parade. And of course, on Sunday, he provides entertainment on the wonderful Lilac Ridge Farm, where we have our Tour de Heifer.
My goodness, you have encompassed every facet of this community. Is that what it takes to raise a heifer?
It takes the dedication of this town. I mean, our town has the most volunteers. Like for the Strolling of the Heifers, we have 300 plus volunteers. That's including the parade, including year-round, the various people that participate, and so forth.
Now, I know that there are a lot of different sponsors and things, and maybe it wouldn't hurt to mention some of those right now, because really not only does it take volunteer support, it takes business support.
Absolutely. Our key sponsor is Merchants Bank, and here's their logo. They have been incredible in supporting the Strolling of the Heifers for the last 2 years. We really couldn't do it without them. We also want to thank CNS, and Bravo Savings and Loan, of course, Bravo Memorial Hospital, of course, Bravo Retreat. Not only do they support it in many different ways, but they open their grounds to the public during Strolling of the Heifers, so people can really enjoy the beautiful retreat grounds. And Utterly Smooth, and of course, Commonwealth Yogurt is another one of our big sponsors and a wonderful community supporter.
That is great to hear. And of course, you put this together to originally fund money for agricultural education programs. Is that still being done?
But we have a lot of education, and now we're providing that with our Slow Living Summit. And we do all year round, now that we have the River Gardens, we have various series of lectures, and we are planning for this coming year to do many other educational series at the River Garden.
Now, we'll talk more about the Slow Living Summit in a bit, but I want to focus firstly on Friday night, because that's a gallery walk night, and I know that Julie Potter has been putting all the pieces together to make sure that everybody has the funnest experience they possibly can without needing to watch where you walk.
Absolutely, that is very true. Friday night is a great big community party. Gallery walk is going on, and we have our street festival going on as well. Lots of great food. Alan and the doctor will be there on the stage all night. That's really our music. We're going to have some other music kind of around, but we're trying to keep things really simple and focusing on this year's theme, which is, of course, the Heifers are coming to town. Like I said, great food, really good entertainment. We have fun vendors. The community comes out in force. This year we're going to have a new photo booth, which is going to be an interesting piece to add to this, and we're sort of excited to see what people do with that. So bring your smartphone, bring your camera, and just come and see what that's all about. Inside the River Garden, we also have the Gallery at the Garden, which we will be showcasing our current exhibit, which is it's a series of 16 by 16 paintings that have been up for a while. It's going to remain up through June. So we're excited to have people come in and take a look at that during all the festivities. That, of course, is going to be happening at the same time as the bread pudding contest, which the finals will be happening that evening as well. So lots of fun stuff happening.
And also, Julie, on Friday night, people are encouraged, especially this year, to come down and provide entertainment.
Yeah, if you are a musician who's interested in coming down and playing and letting people see, we're leaving some spots available, so that you can go ahead and do that. So,
and we're so fortunate in this town to have so many talented people. Yeah. We're really getting to see that at the River Garden. We never lack for any entertainers or people with various expertise in fields to provide lectures. It really is an amazing town, and we really get to see that sitting on Main Street.
And people are really generous with their time.
Incredibly.
And really generous with their time. And people are really respectful and responsive to coming and seeing what people have to do and or what people are doing and what they have to say. So that's been really fun. And it's nice, like I said, it's a big community party, and we hope that lots of people come down for it.
And one other thing, Tim, that I want to say, we talked about how many volunteers there are. We're always looking for new volunteers. It's a really fun group. It's a fun event to be involved in, and we need every single person to participate. So if you want to volunteer for 2 hours or a whole day, or if you want to volunteer during the year as our River Garden ambassador, please let us know. Stop in at the River Garden or go to www.strollingoftheheifers.com, and we have a registration for volunteers.
So on the Friday night, which by the way is June 6th, that this is happening, there's also a bread pudding bake-off. And of course, this comes from the very inventive mind of Phyllis Trier. You've come up with different food ideas every year.
Well, not just me. It's a group decision.
He's being modest.
As to what we have every year. But we have had various things. We've had sandwich contests and sweet bread, savory breads, and last year we did quiches. So this year we're doing bread pudding, sweet dessert type bread puddings.
Now, how does this fit into what some of the farmers and the farm families had been doing over the years?
Well, first of all, bread pudding is an old-fashioned, thrifty dessert that farmers and New Englanders have made for years. People around the world have made it for years. It came out of having leftover bread. And what do you do with it? You add some eggs, a little sugar, some milk, all the ingredients that you would have on hand as a farmer, whether it's your own fresh eggs, your homemade bread, or something you purchase. I mean, bread pudding has become a little more glorified in recent years, but it's always started out as a very homey, basic dessert that farmers have always made for their families, very thrifty. And it's a real, because it's so simple and basic, it's a healthy dessert rather than going to the store and buying some prepared dessert that's all full of additives and artificial things. It's a very simple thing. So we wanted to highlight a dessert like that, which can utilize all kinds of local ingredients, whether it's locally produced breads, dairy products. You could put in some local fruits or jams, or almost anything can go into bread pudding. Some of our wonderful maple syrup. So, it's a way to highlight what farmers do, and what New Englanders do.
And of course, the farmers will use everything. They don't want to waste a single
They don't
scrap.
waste anything.
And all of it goes into the bread pudding, among other foods.
Right. So why give the pigs your stale bread? Make bread pudding. It's
And give it
a
to
lot
the
more
pigs,
fun.
too.
Well, if your family doesn't eat it, maybe certainly the pigs would enjoy it, but it's too good for pigs.
Yeah, and this has always been the way that it is. I'm glad to see that you're bringing it back and giving
Right.
it the prominence it
Be
deserves.
thrifty. Be thrifty.
That
My
was-
grandmother always said, "Waste not, want not." And that's
Gosh, I heard
the
that
truth.
from my mother quite a lot.
Yeah.
Among some other things I will not repeat here.
So
But-
at the River Garden, we're going to have a community judging.
Oh, nice.
And
That's
Phyllis,
something we started last year. And so we have a panel of foodie experts that will prejudge our finalists, and then the 3 finalists will be sampled out. The Brattleboro Memorial Hospital is taking those 3 finalist recipes and scaling them up to food service size pans, which we'll have at the River Garden. And the first 100 people that come through will have an opportunity to taste those 3 finalists, and they'll get to vote themselves. So the winner of that is called the People's Choice Award. And that's, so they're really 4 great prizes.
And I want to ask you about some of the prizes that people are getting, because you've really gotten some great public support by other area products that
Absolutely,
fit in
yeah.
with baking.
The first place winner receives a $300 gift certificate to King Arthur Flour, which they can use in the store or online. They get a beautiful King Arthur Flour gift basket and one of our Strolling of the Heifers cookbooks. Then the second place winner gets $150 in gift certificates and a nice gift basket from Grafton Village Cheese and a cookbook. And the third place winner gets $50 in gift certificates and a nice gift basket from Cabot Cheese, and again, one of our cookbooks. So then the person who wins the People's Choice Award gets a $75 gift certificate to the Marina Restaurant, which is really nice. So they're pretty good prizes, really great.
and by the way, the Marina Restaurant is hosting on Sunday our Farmers Breakfast, which is very exciting.
What a lovely spot for
Yeah.
it, too.
Really is, although I would tell you that most farmers this time of year don't have time to stare out at the water when they're eating their breakfast.
But folks can come and experience a farmer's breakfast with local food produced on local farms.
Very good point. And gosh, you've come up with some great ideas over the years, some very great dishes. Where do you go from here?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see what we're going to do next year.
Or maybe
you
the
know.
viewers have ideas and they can
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah, sure. If any members of the community have ideas, things they'd like to see us do, they can let us know.
And they can go on www.strollingoftheheifers.com, and there's a place to send us a message. You can like us. You can be part of Facebook. And also you can check out the cook-off, the bread pudding cook-off, right on our website and learn more about it.
Well, we are using every part of the Strolling of the Heifers, even the moo, and go ahead and moo. Moo. You know, that's pretty good. That was a moving experience. In fact, we want to pause just a second or two, and coming up, we'll tell you a bit more about the Slow Living Summit that has become really an important part of Strolling of the Heifers
It's the
weekend.
serious side of the Strolling of the Heifers.
So that is coming up next. And now joining us as we continue with our preview of Strolling of the Heifers weekend in Brattleboro, someone who has become an integral part of making this all happen. Martin Langeveld is the marketing director for the stroll. And you're also the head honcho for the Slow Living Summit. Let's talk about this. What is slow living, first of all? And did you ever think in your former career as a newspaper executive that you'd be doing something slow?
No, I did 30 years of fast living, and I'm happy to be involved with an organization that is focused on slow living.
And what is slow living?
Okay, so maybe the easiest way to think about slow living is slow is the opposite of fast, and if you think about things that we talk about as fast food, fast money, fast living, not necessarily good things. It's a good thing to be slowing down. And so slow living kind of is based on their organizations called Slow Money, Slow Food. You've probably heard of slow food is the opposite of fast food. It means exactly what we do with Strolling of the Heifers. Local food, more healthy food, food that comes from people you know. That's slow food. So slow living is kind of expanding that idea to everything you do and focusing really on your community and focusing on connections in your community and the value of doing things that are local, doing things that are connected, doing things that are about giving back to your community, investing in your community. It's not necessarily living slow and taking it easy. Slow living means you're involved, you're working hard, but it's really community focused.
And may I add, in very simple terms, slow living, yes, we like to live well, we work hard and so forth. It's just being mindful. It's stopping and thinking about yourself, your own health, and your own giving back to the community. That's what slow living is. It's slowing you down because we don't stop and think. We're all going like this. So it's just kind of helping you slow down and saying, wait a minute, I need to be more mindful to my own environment, to my own self, and my own community.
And some of the neat things about my job of being a broadcaster and a journalist is that, everybody has a story to tell. So how do we all tell our stories at a place like the Slow Living Summit for the benefit of community?
Well, and exactly, that is one of the things that we're focusing on this year is telling stories. This is the fourth Slow Living Summit. In the first three, we had a lot of great speakers. We had Bill McKibben, we had Francis Moore Lapé, we had people that that people recognize. They read their books and so forth. But there was something about it where we said, the speaker is up there. He or she presents a PowerPoint, and it's just like every other conference. How do we make this different? So in the past, we brought some artists in and we had some music as part of the event, but it felt like window dressing. The artist or the musician would get up, do a song or two, go off the stage, and then we get the PowerPoint. So this year we said, you know what? We're going to put these speakers together with artists, and we're going to have them on stage together, and we're going to see what happens. And so, for example, we have Charles Eisenstein. He's a world-renowned speaker, author. He travels all over the place. He's got some great books out that some people will know about called Sacred Economics and The Ascent of Humanity. And we're putting him on stage together with Eugene Friesen, who is our own local world-renowned cellist who also travels all over the world, but they're going to come to Brattleboro, they're going to slow down. Charles is going to talk. The topic of his talk is Time is Running Out, Let's Slow Down. And Eugene will play the cello along with him. And so each of the speakers we have, the main speakers, are paired with artists this way. And we've asked them to tell stories. You know, don't just give us facts, but tell us stories that will help us to understand what you're talking about and to learn to solve the problems that you're talking about.
You know, in looking at the program for the Slow Living Summit, one of the seminars has fascinated me. What happens if you make your living as a socially responsible company, doing things your own way, and then corporate America comes and says, gosh, I want to buy you. How do you marry money versus mission?
Right.
And there are at least two examples in Vermont where that's been the case.
Right here we have New Chapter, which was bought by Procter & Gamble, and we have Ben & Jerry's. You know, and so these companies have had to go through this, and so we have somebody from Ben & Jerry's coming, we have the CEO of New Chapter coming, and also somebody from Stonyfield, which was also in that situation, and in a panel moderated by Bill Bowie from the Marlborough Grad School, who works with companies on exactly this problem. But we're going to hear how they were able to do it, to keep their socially responsible values, even though they became part of a big multinational corporation.
And it sounds as though that has a greater motto as all of us deal with changes in life, changes in job over the years. How do you find a way to keep what's good around you and change, because sometimes change is necessary? How'd you find all these people?
It's easy.
Well,
They
you know,
find us.
right, and some of them find us, and we have a great committee that helps us, and that, you know, it has networks and knows people. And anybody that we've ever reached out to, just about, you know, has said, yes, I'd love to come.
And they all volunteer.
And they all volunteer. You know, Charles gets paid to go to India and talk, and go to Turkey and talk, and go to Indonesia and talk. But he comes here because he likes Brattleboro and he likes the idea of what we're doing.
What's so unique about us that people are flocking to us like lemmings?
Oh, you know, I think people should come to the Slow Living Summit and find this out.
Exactly.
And of course, the other side of this is people need to sign up and register.
Yes, and so we have a website. It is slowlivingsummit.org.
Or you can go from www.strollingoftheheifers.com and get to the Slow Living Summit.
Right. But so Slow Living Summit, we have various options for registration, including if people have limited means, or, you know, just not enough income to pay the full price, they can find on our site, or if they can't find it, get a hold of me. They can find a sliding scale stipended option, which is supported by some of our sponsors and grant makers, where they can select a registration price that works for them. So nobody should feel that, you know, they can't go to this because they can't afford it.
And you can also select certain days, or if you want to just attend a keynote speaker, that's you know, we want to welcome everyone. We're not going to turn anyone away, because I think it's very, very important. This is really something for the community.
And from the community standpoint, has the Slow Living Summit over its life caused some changes to happen either here or elsewhere?
Well, it's certainly better known than it ever was. In fact, with our locavore index that we just ran, you know, we're in 52 states in such a short time. Brattleboro, Vermont is all over the place.
2 more states than there really are.
Whatever. And
But, you know, just to give you, I mean, we talked about slow living as being, you know, local and personal. We know of 2 people who moved to this area.
I know more than that.
Just because, well, okay, we know of a number of people
In the
who
Slow Living
moved
Summit,
to
yeah.
the area because they came to slow living, and then they went back to where they were, like, you know, suburbs of Miami or something, and they said, what am I doing here?
And they lived in Brattleboro.
moved to Brattleboro.
Well, maybe all of us who have lived here for a while need to just stop and smell the slow.
That's right.
That's right.
We're pretty slow to begin with here.
That's very good to know, and of course, I hope that there are still plenty of ideas to be explored in future slow living summits.
And how we develop the next summit is we learn from this summit, and it's all group participation, what the next summit should be investigating.
Fantastic. Coming up, we're going to talk about some of the events that are happening on Saturday, June the 7th, as we continue with a look at the strolling of the Heifers. And we are back with the strolling of the Heifers to give you an idea of what's happening on Saturday, June the 7th, which, by the way, is going to be an action-packed day. First, let's talk about what has been the start of the strolling of the Heifers, the parade. Rick Chapin is the parade impresario, and I have to say that first, please, no matter what we do, leave your dogs at home.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, because remember, these are farm animals and they aren't used to walking up Main Street in Brattleboro. I know of people who live in areas that just aren't used to walking up Main Street in Brattleboro to begin with. And imagine if you're being led by a teenager who might be nervous as well.
That is correct. And as always, we do have quite a few heifers this year coming in. We have horses, llamas, goats, along with a lot of our nonprofits and floats, which we can talk about a little later.
Almost sounds like what my dad had in his backyard when I was growing up.
That's right, you grew up on a farm.
Well, we made the most of what we did. I'll just say that. But, so where do the heifers and the volunteers to lead them come from?
All of the heifers that come in, all of the farmers that bring the heifers in are 4-H clubs. So the 4-H industry, or kids come in and they actually lead and practice and work with the calves and heifers for a long period of time. And hopefully they will sustain the crowds and the cheers and the claps and so forth, and continue to go up. We do have a few heifers every year that don't like to go the complete route and give us a little hard time, but most of the time the farmers and the students are able to get them on their way.
And of course, the technical definition of what a heifer is, it is a young female calf who has grown to the point where they're getting older but have not yet given birth for the first time.
That's right, when they do, they're a cow.
So you're talking roughly, yearling, year and a half.
Could be
Actually,
up to two.
Some are actually younger. They actually can, as long as they're born in January and able to go up the whole route and be able to be led, then we let them in. But we have our veterinarians, our Pete Stickney is our heifer master, right? That really looks at all of the applications that come in from all the farmers to make sure that the heifers are the correct age, and we always have our
And they're vaccinated.
Yep, and then we always have our veterinarian on the day of the parade come down and check to make sure that the heifers are who they are and have all their vaccinations.
That's good, because remember, we are talking about sustaining the industry, and the animal's health is of utmost importance. That's correct. So, other animals, what do you have?
Well, like I said, we have some horses. We have some Oregon horses that will be in. We have llamas. We have some goats. I think that's about it as far as animals this year. And then as far as other units coming in, we always have our local high school, elementary school bands that help us every year. And Orly mentioned earlier that the Strolling of the Heifers float will have, the heifers are coming to town on it. We also have one of our local high school bands who is going to be playing the strolling of the heifers are coming to town.
Which is our theme
So-
song.
Which is our theme song in the middle, and then with Alan at the very end, as always. Alan always brings up the very last unit and strums away and sings the songs and makes the people come.
So, a couple of things regarding the parade. One, it's going to be, I guess, kicking off at its traditional time of 10 a.m. from Flat and Frost Street in Brattleboro, heading up Main Street to the Brattleboro Retreat?
That is correct.
Okay, and how will people be asked to get there? Because I know that that you want a good crowd, but you want to make sure that they get in and get out on an orderly basis.
Well, we do have some buses that will go to the Brattleboro High School and also from West Brattleboro Academy School area. So they'll be running early in the morning to get folks to Main Street, and then after the parade, they do
Every 15 minutes.
every
loop.
15 minutes loop. They take people back to their cars when they want to leave or so forth. So we do have that in place.
And it's free, so anyone can enjoy it.
Well, that's good to hear, because after all, you want to make sure that you get as many people as possible exposed to agriculture. And
And we actually recommend people using these parking lots, and people who use it every year love it. It's easy. You don't have to worry about your car. Look for some sort of a side street and then walk miles and miles. And, it's a wonderful, wonderful system that will let you on and off at various places.
And of course, even before the parade itself, and then of course after the parade, there's plenty of entertainment around the downtown area. Beth, you've always been in charge of rounding up the entertainers. Any differences this year?
Yeah, actually, we do have a few differences. There are a lot of folks want to come back, and they are coming back, like our New Orleans street band, and we can talk a little bit about the tents later. But this year, the entertainment emphasis really is on youth, which means that it's either youth performing or performances for youth, which means family entertainment. I mean, our CNS entertainment tent is this year featuring the second generation of Sandglass Theater, with Jana Zeller doing Enos Bass's piece, Casper the Cow. And we have Circus Minimus is performing in that theater, and in that tent, excuse me. Ed the Wizard, who's a magician, will be walking around doing magic shows. The other difference is it's going to be sunny. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. There's a difference. We have, again, our kids' youth tent kids playing music anywhere from our 3 local a cappella groups, high school a cappella groups, to SNAS, which is just growing. They're the wonderful indie rock group of teenagers in town. West Trio, a new one I haven't heard. Jacob Ellis and some of his friends from college have a folk rock band, and then there's Jim Curdy's youth jazz band. Oh, and Brattleboro School of Dance. Jen Moise has had Brattleboro School of Dance for a couple of years, and this year was able to actually put something on stage. 5 and 6-year-olds doing a small piece, and then 7 to 10-year-olds doing a hip-hop piece. So that's a beginning. And then we're using the gazebo this year in the Common rather than a tent. And we love to use the gazebo. Oh, and cows are going to tell poems this year, Tim. This is a major one.
Cow poetry.
Absolutely, cow poetry, and you have to. It will be
An experience.
an experience. It's new for all of us. Some of the cows may be experienced. I'm not sure.
And I understand Veranda Porsche is providing already little workshops for the heifers, so they're really practicing in this cow poetry.
Yeah.
So it'll be
They're-
really
they're
interesting to
getting
see
it.
what they come up with.
And then Right Action this year is actually, I think maybe it's not with Right Action, but they're also actually a group of poets going to tell read some poems that are about agriculture, farming, slow living, etc. And they I believe are accompanied by music. We have a participatory theater piece going on with the audience giving. I think it's about cows. It's about the beauty of the cow that Interplay is doing. Bonneville boys are going to come play their bluegrass. Bonneville boys. We are from Bonneville. We're not all boys. Is their motto there. Inishir is coming back. The fiddlers, the ukes are coming back. The ukuleles, Ben Carr. It's actually. I have problems because I can't be everywhere. So I would suggest that anybody who wants to go to our website, www.strollingoftheheifers.com, and look at the schedule because it is up there. And it is accurate-ish because, you know, this is a slow living day and we're not going to be crazy making things happen at the moment on the dot. So do look because it may be that you can't come into town early, but you want to come in later. We have music until 4 o'clock. And food and goodies till 4 o'clock. Oh, goat races. Last year, for the first time, we had goat races where they'll be stepped up a bit this year.
Great prizes to win.
Great prizes to win.
And it's also educational. The goat farmers will be there educating the public about goats. And the races are very sweet. These are baby goats, and it's so cute to watch them. And they're trying their best.
And you know, we ought to mention that the Slow Living Expo is taking place for a good part of the day on Saturday, June the 7th. What is the Slow Living Expo? Where can you find it? And what are you going to have?
The Slow Living Expo is at the Commons and the Retreat Grounds. If you want to have a look of the grounds and the map, go to www.strollingoftheheifers.com for more information. We'll have lots of crafters. We're going to have an energy village. At the energy village, we have a community energy science fair where students from 5th grade through 12th have submitted incredibly fascinating projects that they've either studied or they're inventing. And the public is invited to vote on which one they think should win. And we have some nice prizes for the kids. And just to watch how excited they are about science is amazing. Surrounding that, we have all our energy vendors who have lots of education, from helping you button up your house to using solar and other forms of energy.
And you know, you make a good point because farmers are the best conservationists you'll find. Healthy working of land is a good thing. And you know, they can't waste money after all because the margins are so thin, so it makes sense.
Oh, I also left out, we have a woodlands pavilion where various educators from the state are going to be showcasing various pieces about our woods, our land, our soil. It's a fascinating pavilion. In fact, Vince will be there with some animals, and so would the museum is going to, the History Museum is going to bring some birds with them. So folks should really attend that.
I wanted to mention one thing about Friday night, or Saturday morning. The dairy godmother will have some dairy princesses. And I do believe that probably if there are still some young prince or princesses who are interested, and this would be for prince or princesses or anyone who considers themselves one or the other,
or any parents that think,
or parents that that you can still call the office, I believe, and talk with Julie.
Absolutely.
And I'm not. What's the office number?
They can even call my number, 258-7070.
And yes, and that will be happening pre-parade. There will be the princesses out in the street along with other entertainment.
That's fantastic. That's a great start to Saturday. And coming up, we're going to profile what's happening on Sunday as we continue with this profile of the Strolling of the Heifers. And we are back with our profile of the Strolling of the Heifers. In fact, this time around, I'm very happy to have along with Orly and I, Hannah Thurber and Shabir Kamal. And very glad that the family's farmstead, which is going to be the host for the Tour des Heifers, is going to do that again. Now, and I see you've even brought a bicycle-type shirt.
I did, yeah, from one of my trips overseas. So yeah, I love cycling.
So how does the marriage of farming and cycling work?
I would say that one thing I was thinking about was that farms produce a lot of amazing things: food, fiber, timber, lots of things, but they also produce amazing landscapes. And I think that I see the Tour de Heifer as a way to get people out into the landscapes that are created by the farms, by the pastures, by the gardens, by the crop fields, even by the forest as well.
So do both of you bike?
Absolutely.
We do, yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah, I would have to say that you both are served well by your passion for
We gotta
cycling.
start doing this.
This is true, but I did run my first 5K in a while last weekend.
Great.
So we're gonna get there.
Well, I think you should do the Tour de Heifer.
Well, we'll see
As
how
our guest.
we'll see how much energy I have left that day.
We do have an easier ride this year.
Okay, yeah, tell me about the rides, because after all, you have planned out several different rides. How long are they, and what would you be seeing if you took each one?
Sure. Well, I'll talk about the easier rides. We've both probably rode all of the rides multiple times, so we know the routes pretty well. This year we tried to find the flattest possible route that we could find for families and people who prefer not to go up hills, but it is southern Vermont, so there's no completely flat option from Lilac Ridge. But we can go 15 miles, about half pavement, half gravel, dirt road to Green River covered bridge, which, as you know, if you've been there, is a beautiful, beautiful spot. So you'd start at Lilac Ridge, you'll pass a couple farms along the way, and then come back. There's also a little bit more challenging 15-mile gravel road, and that goes by more farms because it meanders a little bit more and goes up and down a little bit more. We also have a pretty easy 30-mile ride, which also goes out to Green River, and then it follows the river down for several more miles and comes back. It's a beautiful, beautiful road. So
And it's not hard.
it's not.
This is something for you and me.
Right. There also is the longer version is 60 miles, and that also does eventually wind up at Green River Bridge, and there's lunch provided there for the 60-miler. But it continues on quite steeply on some of the back roads into Halifax, into Marlborough, I think a bit of Whitingham possibly. And that is a challenging ride. People do enjoy it, but it is challenging. I think mainly because it's on a lot of dirt roads and it's often steep. But for the folks who've done it in the past, they've really enjoyed it. So I think.
So there's various levels in this wonderful event. For the Strolling of the Heifers, we've done a really good job of bringing the farms to Main Street, and that is really cool. But really, we are really trying to bring people back to the farms, and that's why we have the Tour de Heifer.
And you mentioned that there's a hike as well?
There is a hike for people who don't bike or prefer to walk. There's a great hike starting at Lilac Ridge, and you go up through some great pastures and to some woodland, which goes to the top of Round Mountain. If you make it all the way to the top, then you have some amazing views of West Brattleboro. But you can also turn around part way if it gets a little bit too hard.
And there's a wonderful guide who goes up with you, George Weir.
George Weir is a forester, and he'll provide basically a personal tour of the woods in that area. So then you will get your lunch when you get back to the farm, as will all the cyclists.
And of course, the lunch, as I remember, is something that would be great for anybody. It's all native food.
Yes, it's all native. It's all catered by Randy Zeider, who is volunteering, and Tristan Tolino also helps, and a lot of volunteers. And I have to say, it is the most delicious lunch. But the nicest thing about it is you get to really experience the Lilac Ridge beauty. It is the most beautiful piece of property, and you're right there in the field of the Thurbers, who open their home to the community. And we sit on the lawn, and there's quite a celebration. There's wonderful music by Alan and the Doc playing The Heifers Are Coming to Town and other music, and there's children running around. And it's one of the nicest community building piece of that, just to be on the farm and really understand You know, it's living at its best. It's a true, slow living experience.
And I really have to say that I've never met a farmer that I didn't like. just because some of the values that y'all bring to the table, just cut it to the quick, and you open your hearts and your lives, because that's what you do.
It's a really special way to grow up, you know, and it's really fun to share it with other people, to show them what that's like.
Yeah, it was very special for me as well, but we took a different road. Let's start off Sunday with a big breakfast, especially if you're out working, burning up all those calories. You're going to need that.
That's right. So if you are not athletically inclined, we still want you to get out to the farms, and we've planned a wonderful tour farm that you can just motor around, and you can get that information from www.Strolling of the Heifers, and it's the Strolling of the Heifer Farm Tour. And there are certain farms that have opened up their farms. The Robb family farm, the Franklin farm, the Bunker farm, the Cortland Hill, and Deer Ridge are open to the public. There's various events happening there. You can sign up for tours on our website. There's a registration for that. If you go to www.strollingotheheifers.com and go to the registration area, you can sign up. There's already a whole bunch of people who have signed up for it, so you should really do it ASAP. And before you start, you should go to the marina and have a wonderful farmer's breakfast, and then pick up your map, and then you can motor around to the various farms that you've signed up for.
And just a reminder, probably sandals would not be the thing to do if you're going to go visit someone's farm.
No. And don't bring your dog.
Thank you. But really impressed with the width and breadth of the farmers you've gotten to agree to the tour, because it's great to be able to expose people to farms in their natural environment and not just parade animals
That's
up
right.
Main Street.
That's right. And so we work really hard at trying to get people back to the farm. And once you're on a farm, there is some sort of special rejuvenation to oneself, because you're really anchored in the ground and you really realize it. I mean, for you guys, you're there every day. But I'm sure you experience that as well. So being connected from where your food comes from is an amazing experience, and I highly recommend everybody doing that. So please join us on Sunday at either the Lilac Ridge Farm for a tour to Heifer, or at the marina. Start out with a breakfast, pick up your map, go to our website, sign up for the farm tours on the various farms. It's free, by the way. And get to know your local farmer who's producing the food that you eat, and see how hard they work to produce that food.
And may I say thank you to all the people who produce the food that I eat. I've made you work probably much too hard over the years. Orly, I did want to mention as well that a couple of things that I might have omitted. Signing up for the Tour de Heifer, how do they do that?
You could go to strollingoftheheifers.com/tour. That's the easiest way to do it. All the information is there, and there's a link to the registration page.
Okay, and secondly, there's a month-long art display.
Oh, that's right, yes. At the River Garden. So on Gallery Walk on Friday night, stop in at the River Garden, see the local artists who have gone to their imagination or to various farms and captured our wonderful landscape. And as Hannah said, you know, what the farms do is provide us with the most amazing landscape there is, and I'm prejudiced, I think, in the country. And so these artists have a show at the River Garden, and that's what it's about. So come in, see it, enjoy it, and visit the River Garden.
You see, people envision beauty in many, many ways. To me, it's seeing a couple of geese just kind of hanging out together and you know, the natural beauty of it all is what our farmers preserve.
That's right.
So,
And I commend all the young farmers who are taking out farming. And actually, for the viewers, there are actually more farms now in Vermont than there ever were. But they're niche farming, and it's young people who are going back to the land, and that's so encouraging.
even with having only a minimal amount of land, it still is a land-rich, cash-poor business. And
Oh, it's definitely very hard work. You have to really want to do this.
very much so.
And that's why we have to celebrate all our farmers.
Well, again, thank you all. And in case people want to know more about Strolling of the Heifers weekend, how can they find out?
They go to www.strollingoftheheifers.com, or they can go to Facebook and like us. And also, we have a newsletter on our website. They can sign up, and you'll get monthly newsletters from us giving you all the information, because there's so many things happening all year round.
So you're telling me that you can get the monthly news about the Strolling of the Heifers?
Monthly moves, I love it. I think you just discovered a new name for us. We're learning all the time. And again, I want to hear from all of you out there. If you have any ideas or any interest in volunteering or getting involved, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you very much. And Tim, thank you again. This is, what is it, our 13th year doing this?
Our 13th year of discussing it. And just to leave you with a thought, the first couple of lines of something I memorized years and years ago. I believe in the future of farming. I believe in a future of not of words but of deeds. The opening lines of the creed that every member of the Future Farmers of America, the FFA, were meant to recite. And gosh, think about that for a bit. Get back to what really matters, our food and our communities, and be a part of Strolling of the Heifers weekend. This is Tim Johnson. Thank you for watching, and also thank you for putting up with a number of old cow puns as we get ready for the Strolling of the Heifers.